Okay, good afternoon, students. So today we are going to discuss the very next topic, and that is all about genetic basis and breeding methods in cross-pollinated crops. If you all remember, last time we discussed genetic basis and breeding methods, but we discussed in the case of self-pollinated crops. And today we will be discussing for cross-pollinated crops. And if time remains, then we will discuss genetic basis methods in asexually propagated. We will only talk about the genetic basis, right? We will not be discussing about methods. We will only discuss genetic basis. So these all are the contents that we are going to discuss. That is, we will discuss what is meant by the plant breeding aim, as we discussed in the last time. Concept behind breeding, what is meant by cross-pollinated species, by which all methodologies these cross-pollinated species can be breeded, and these methods we are going to discuss in detail, like population improvement. We will be discussing population improvement, and then we will discuss recurrent selection, synthetic and composite varieties. So these three are basically the methods by which we are going to breed the cross-pollinated species, which are often referred as autogamous species. And at the end, if time remains, as I already said, we will discuss concept of breeding in asexually propagated species, right? So coming to very first topic, that is all about plant breeding aim. So this is already clear to you all, like plant breeding aim is what? It is meant to improve the characteristics of the plants. And if it is meant to improve the characteristics of the plants, then plants can be improved in two terms, either agronomically or either economically, right? This we discussed last time also. So what methodology is to be adopted for plant breeding? This in turn is controlled by mode of pollination and reproduction that is taking place within a plant. And on the basis of this mode of pollination and reproduction itself, we have divided the species into three categories. Very first is self-pollinated, which we have discussed in the last lecture. And today we will be discussing cross and asexually, which is often referred to vegetative propagated species, right? So see students, before we actually discuss the breeding technologies which are there or which are taking place within the cross-pollinated species, we need to know actually what is meant by cross-pollinated species. So when we are to discuss what is meant by cross-pollinated species, we must be familiar with its features and often with the characteristics also. So features are, because it is said to be cross-pollinated species, so obviously if we are calling it as a cross-pollinated species, then these are the species which into which cross-fertilization takes place. And secondly, because here cross fertilization is taking place, so here seed is produced by cross pollination, and these species are called as allogamy species. And the method, this process is said to be allogamy, and the species into which this cross pollination is taking place, these species are referred as allogamous species, or often they are referred as outbreeders, right? Now we need to know what all are the reasons as a result of which cross pollination is taking place. If you people remember, we often discussed the features or the characteristics as a result of which self pollination was taking place. So today we will be discussing like what features, what characteristics are there within the plant which are actually promoting the cross pollination. So very first is, see again, this is the male female part, right? This used to be the male part. It is having pollen grains, right? Stamens and pollen grains, and this is a stigma, style, and ovule, right? Now, why cross pollination is taking place? There are many reasons that are resulting in the cross pollination. Very first is these both the these both units, that is the sex unit, which we call as a female unit and male unit, these both the units are maturing at different times. So this is the reason, like these pollen grains, when they are getting matured, they are no more available to the stigma of the female part, right? and as a result of which they are not compatible each other and they are not fertilizing together. Second is this is said to be dichogamy. Another condition can be either flowers, within the flower there is either a male part or there is either female part. So this is also the reason, like male or male part has to reach to the another part, and female part need pollen grains from any other flower. Heterostyle means there is variation in the length of the style, and hypogamy means there is existing certain, although if they are maturing at the same time, but sometimes what happens, there is a mechanical difference or say mechanical barrier among these two, as a result of which these two are not compatible to fuse with each other. So this is said to be hercogamy. Self incompatibility we have already studied. That means here these pollen grains, they fail to fertilize, right? This is due to the non functionality of the pollen grain, and at the end there can be the reasons where there is no more presence of the functional, say there is no more the presence of functional pollen grain. So all these are the factors which are actually promoting cross pollination to take place, right? Further, uh, it can be like now see, because any pollen grain of any flower, it can mate with any other any female part of any flower. That means here there is taking place a random mating. Earlier we discussed, like within the flower, when we were discussing self-pollinated species, we said within the flower there is a presence of male unit and there is a presence of female unit. So as a result, because say within the same flower fertilization was taking place, so the progeny which were being generated as a result of cross among these two parents, though that particular progeny was homozygous in the nature, right? But when we are discussing like male and female units, even if they are present in the same plant, in the same flower, they are not fusing with each other, and the reason behind we have already discussed in the last slide. If they are not mating with each other, that means this female is being fertilized by male part of any other flower, or say this male part is fertilizing female of any another flower, because within the same flower there is no fertilization taking place. That means here a random mating is taking place, and as a result of random mating, the progenies which are found as a result of fertilization of this female part with another male part, this results into the presence of certain differences in the terms of genetic content, and as a result, thus the individuals which are the result of these crosses, they are heterozygous in the nature. That means they are having a different genetic content than compared with the parents, right? Here, in the last time in the self-pollinated species, we came to learn like there was there was no effect of deleterious recessive gene. But here, individuals are having deleterious recessive gene, and a recessive gene means what? As I already told you, say if we are talking about height, so this is the gene, and every gene is controlled by two alleles. So this is an alternative form of the genes, and this is said to be, that is the one that is represented by lower case is said to be recessive, and the another that is represented by capital case, it is called as dominant. So here when we are talking for the cross pollinated species, then this recessive gene effect is being shown, but this recessive gene effect is covered up by dominant gene. So this is what is written in point third. Because here, see students, here mating is no more taking place within the same unit. Mating is taking place between the different unit. So this is the reason uh, these are often termed as outbreeders. These are often termed as outbreeders. And when we talk about outbreeders, or say when we are talking about autogamous species, or say we are talking about cross-pollinated species, then these are no more tolerant to inbreeding. They are showing high degree of inbreeding depression on selfing, right? So these are the certain features of cross-pollinated species. Further, because now mating is taking place between one male part of one flower and female part of another part. So there are chances of the new combinations that may took place, because here genes are different, here genes are different, because two are belonging to different flowers. So there are chances of formation of new gene combinations, right? If new gene combinations are there, obviously there are going to be variation within the population. More are the variation, more the genes will be adapting itself to the wider range of environment, and more they will be flexible, right? Because when we say homozygosity, homo, that means there is no change of genetic content generation after generation. That means all the individuals which are in a particular say progeny, they all are resembling to each other in terms of phenotype and in terms of genotype. But when we talk for the cross pollinated species, there is no such scenario here. Heterozygosity is there, and as a result of heterozygosity, it makes them more variable. And we always say more is the variation, more are the chances of adaptability. So these all are the features of cross pollinated species. These are the certain examples. Now my motto of introducing you all with the say characteristics or say features of this cross pollinated species was because I was to come to a conclusion where I could let you all understand what is the genetic basis of cross pollinated species, and I just hope it is clear to you all. Genetic basis is why we are going for cross pollinated species breeding, because a very important point is these are heterozygous in the nature. And when we want a population where the individuals are superior from each other, there we need to go for the breeding of the crops which are cross pollinated crops, right? The concept is generally aiming at improving the crop species, but because more will be the heterozygosity, more will be the chances of improvement of character. Say if this is the population, and in this population, say these many are the number of individuals, and each individual is holding a particular character, right? So more will be the variations, more will be the improvement of the characters, right? And more will be the improvement of characters, more will be the more better will be the breeding methodology. So this is the genetic basis of like why we need to go for the why we need to go for breeding of cross pollinated species. The reason is behind we are going for the breeding of cross pollinated species is it is aiming to improve that characteristics which are present in the various individuals within a population, right? So this was a general genetic basis of say asexually propagated species. These all are the methods by which we can breed allogamous. Allogamous means cross pollinated species. So it can be done by plant introduction, mass progeny selection, back cross. So these all are the methods, but we need to learn only heterosis breeding, then synthetic breeding and population improvement programs. So when we talk for the methodologies which are required for breeding cross-pollinated species, we are basically dividing the methodology into three broad groups. Not two, we are grouping it into three broad groups. Very first is improvement, a population can be breeded by very first methodology, that is a population improvement. Second is we can go for recurrent selection, and third is we can go for the creation of hybrids and synthetic varieties. It is not hybrid, it is composite and synthetic variety. Okay, composite and synthetic. So by these composite and synthetic, so these are the three broad categories. So we will be learning about these three categories one by one. So methods are basically grouped into three groups: population improvement, recurrent selection, and composite and synthetic. When we talk for the population improvement, it is further categorized into two groups. Very first is where we are carrying the test for the progeny, that is with progeny test, and second is without progeny test, right? When we are going for without progeny test, then there we considered mass selection, and where we go for progeny test, there these are the selection methodologies which are to be adopted, like air to row method and modified air to row method, right? So again I repeat, breeding methodologies are divided into three groups. So population improvement, recurrent selection, and composite and synthetic varieties. So coming to the very first one, that is population improvement. So population improvement, name itself is indicating you are improving or we are to improve population. But population is composed of what? Population is composed of individuals. Say one population is there that is consisting of 8 individuals. This is population. Together group of individuals we call as a population, right? And these are individuals. Each individual must be holding certain characteristic. If we are going for the improvement of population, that means we are going for the improvement of individual, and within the individual, what we are going for the improvement? We are actually going for the improvement of character. And very important, character can be what? Either phenotype or either genotype. When we say phenotype, we can talk about height, we can talk about yield, we can talk about another characteristics which are easy to observe, right? And here we are going for the improvement of individuals, because each individual is I will write here a specific word. Each individual is having a desirable character, and when we are going for the improvement of the population, that means alternatively we can conclude that we are going for the improvement of a desirable character, right? So in case of population improvement, either we go for mass selection or either go for the modification of the mass selection. When we say mass selection, then it is a method without progeny test. This is the method without progeny test, and this is the modification of mass, and here we usually have air to row method and modified air to row method that I will be discussing in my next slide. So again I repeat, what we are doing in the population improvement, see, name itself is letting you know that is we are improving the population, and within the population we have individuals, and individuals have desirable characteristics. That means I can conclude here we are going for the improvement of desirable characteristics, right? When we say we are going for the improvement of desirable characteristics, then you all are much familiar with the fact that any particular character, when we talk about any particular character, it is controlled by a specific gene. And gene, I have already told you, gene is what? That is having alternative form of, that is the alternative form, right? Which is consisting of capital and lower form, right? And these are the alternative forms are said to be alternative forms of gene are said to be allele. That means if we more move forward, like population improvement is actually the improvement of a desirable character, then we can often say it is used to increase the frequency of desirable allele. If you are much familiar, like this gene is controlling the yield, then we can improve this yield as a result of either say mass test, or say either by improvement air to row method or modified air to row method, right? This was the very first methodology that was utilized for breeding cross-pollinated crops, and even it was utilized by the farmers. But now they are expected to have they right now also they are being utilized, keeping in mind they have a significant role in the improvement of crops. Basically we are going for this methodology, that is population improvement, but because there been the development of hybrid and there have been the development of synthetic varieties, so this is the reason like the interest of the farmers in going for the adoption of this population improvement methodology has decreased now. But still some breeders are still dependent on it. If we talk for the maize improvement, then maize improvement is all the result of mass selection, and in many cases projects have been located, and as a result of those projects there had been the improvement of maize. Now, as I already said, population improvement is of, there are two methodologies by which we could go for the improvement of population. Again I repeat, within the population improvement, we have two methodologies. Very first is where we are no more carrying progeny test, that is without progeny test, and another is where we have to conduct progeny test, that is with progeny test. When we talk about the methodology without progeny test, then here the selection that is adopted is said to be mass selection. This is what you need to remember actually. And when we go with the progeny test, then we have two methods here. Very first is ear to row method, and under ear to row method there is one more methodology in which there are certain steps which are improved, and it is said to be modified. It is said to be modified ear to row method, right? Now very first we will discuss method without progeny testing, where we need to consider mass selection. Method without progeny testing, name itself is indicating here. See, say these two parents are crossed and we have progeny. Here no test is carried on this progeny, and overall selection is on the basis of phenotype only. This is what is meant by method without progeny testing. That means here plants are selected. Selection is done on the basis of phenotype only, and no progeny test is carried out. If you remember, last time I told you we used to conduct yield trials. We used to conduct multi-location trials. These all trials were being conducted on the say progeny, but here no progeny test is carried out. Whatever inferior varieties are to be selected, they are to be selected on the basis of their phenotypic characteristics. So this is what is meant by method without progeny testing. So under it we need to discuss mass selection. Mass selection, that means mass. When we say mass, that means something is in very large number. So here number of plants are selected. Here what we are doing, many number of plants they are selected, but this again I focus, this selection is on the basis of phenotype. This selection is on the basis of phenotype, and once these are selected, they are allowed to open pollinate. That means it can say if this is the female parent, because these are going to be the female parents only, because open pollinated means the pollen grain can come from any source. So pollen grain is going to come, so female parent will always be finalized, but the pollen grain, that is the male parent, it is no more finalized. Any male parent can come and fertilize with the female. So this is said to be open pollination. So here what is done, these number of the plants are selected on the basis of their phenotype, and then they are allowed to open pollinate, right? And as a result, next generation is raised. See, this is the diagrammatic representation. Last time we learned like any selection or any breeding methodology, it was taking place in many years, right? We even discussed 13 years, 14 years, 10 years, but here it is being completed in 2 years only. Mass selection is because we need not to conduct any yield trial. So when we are no more conducting any yield trial, then we need not to we need not to proceed with this mass selection for many years, right? So here what we are doing in the first year, we are selecting similar, see all these are rounds, that is representing like all the plants, they are similar to each other. So several plants with but the only those are to be selected which are giving the superior phenotype, right? Very important, the one which are giving the superior phenotype, they are to be selected, because we said we are we are going for the improvement of desirable characters, right? And these are open pollinated, so this is what is done in the first year. Now when it will be done, it will again lead to the formation of next progeny. And bulk seeds, here from here also, this is the first selection cycle, this is said to be second selection cycle that is carried in the second year. And then here also the seeds, as we did the steps in the first year, same are to be repeated in the second year. That means here also several plants with the desirable characters are selected, and they are allowed to self open pollinate. Again we will be having generation, this can be repeated one or more times, right? And at the end we will directly go for the yield trials. We are no more, see, if you could see it very clearly, like nowhere we are either conducting this yield trial, or nowhere we are conducting these multi-location trials, right? So this is the, because on the progeny no test is being carried out, so this is the reason it is said to be selection. But selection is again I repeat, selection is no more done on the basis of say a progeny test, but the selection is done on the basis of what, that is said to be on the basis of phenotypic characteristics, right? So this is said to be mass selection. So see, these all are the steps that I have already dictated. Those are only written on this slide. There is nothing very different. So very important thing is, see, mass selection is based, whatever selection is done, it is based on maternal parent only, because there is no control of pollen parent. So selection is to be done on the basis of mother only, because mother is always fixed, and pollen we don't know from where the pollen, what is the source of, what source of pollen male is going to be there, right? So selection is done on the phenotype, and no progeny test, very important, no progeny test is conducted, right? Efficiency depends upon the number of genes which actually control the character, right? So this is all about mass selection. There are many advantages of merits advantages, say merits of mass selection, like it is very simple methodology. See what you have to do, you have to select a mother parent, and you have to open pollinate it. Open pollinate means any pollen grain from any flower can come and fertilize with it. Moreover, you need then you will have the next progeny. This progeny, from this, within this progeny, the individuals which are having the desirable and superior ones, they will be selected on the basis of phenotype, and other will be rejected. And again it could be repeated for one or more time, right? See how simple it is. We need not to go for the conducting yield trials, right? We need not to go for conducting, say, multi-location trials. So it is a very simple methodology, where only on the basis of phenotypic characteristics, or say where only on the basis of we can say only on the basis of say phenotypic characteristics, we are selecting the individuals from one progeny to the another progeny, right? And it is effective, that means it is effective in improving yield as well as because same improved strain is again going to be similar to the one that is one is present in the population. And we need, very important, that is we need not to conduct the extensive yield trials. These are the merits of mass selection. Next are the demerits of mass selection. Demerits means what? Say this is the male parent. Since we are not conducting the progeny test, progeny test is not being conducted. So see, these are the characteristics which are often affected by the environment. When we are no more conducting the progeny testing, there we won't be able to put emphasis on the fact that whether the one we have selected is actually the one that was required or not. That means it is a poor basis for the identification of superior genotype. And moreover, basically because we have divided the characteristics into the two categories. Very first are the qualitative character and another are the quantitative character. So here, quantitative characters in case of mass selection, they may be affected by the environment. And if they are infected by the environment, up to what level these are being affected, it cannot be determined because we are no more carrying any progeny test, right? Moreover, because any open pollinator can come and it can fertilize the female parent, so effectiveness of selection decreases. And population size is also reduced, and sometimes it leads to inbreeding, and inbreeding depression could also take place. So with this I come to the completion of very first breeding methodology for the cross pollinated crops, where we have discussed population improvement, and within the population improvement I discussed the very first methodology, that is without progeny test. Okay, right? Now we come to the next one, that is method with progeny test. So this method with progeny test, here we are carrying test on the progeny, and these are of two types, as I already told. One is air to row method and another is modified form of air to row method. This air to row method, when we talk about, then it was done on maize and it was developed by Hopkins. Here what is done, 50 to 100 plants with superior phenotype are selected, and again they are allowed to open pollinate. And then from individual plant seeds are harvested. See, this is the various steps. Just a minute. It is again completed in 3 steps only, like first year, second year, and third year. But here we are conducting the yield trials, right? This is very important because method with the progeny testing, and when we talk for the testing on the progeny, we basically talk about yield trials and multi-location trials. So see here what is done. Here also plants are selected. Selection of the plants in the very early step is on the basis of phenotype itself. So here plants are selected, and these plants are open. This is actually air to row method, that is scheme 1. And here these are selection is done on the basis of phenotype. That means the one which are resembling each other, they will be selected, and the other which are not resembling each other, they will be neglected, okay, or they will be discarded. So this is done in the very first step. Selection is done on the basis of phenotype, and thereafter they are allowed to open pollinate. This is first selection cycle. Now this after pollination we had the progeny, but here small progeny, like say here are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, say up to 12, 15 progenies are there. Then 3 progeny will be taken aside, and onto these 3 progeny will be carried out yield trials. Then see, this is what small individual plant progenies are grown. From here selected will be grown, superior will be identified, and inferior will be rejected, and the superior which are selected, they will be again allowed to open pollinate, and they will be harvested separately. And these steps will be repeated again and again, and at the end, very important, we are conducting yield trials, right? So this is air to row method. So this is the second year. Some plants are selected and progeny is evaluated. Phenotypically identical are kept, and other inferior are removed, and these are grown. In the third year also we are repeating the steps which we performed in the second year, right? So this is all about air to row method. Now we need to talk about, this is air to row method, right? In case of maize. Now advantages are, it is very simple. Selection cycle is of 1 year only, but here the plants in superior progenies are pollinated by those in both superior and inferior, because open pollination is being done. So any inferior variety can also be, it can also be fertilized, and even the say another one can also be fertilized. So if any variety is being fertilized, it is reducing the effectiveness of selection. Next, we will discuss the modification of air to row method. What modification can be done in air to row method? Very first modification is we have increased the number of plants, and those number of the plants are taken which have superior phenotype. This is the basic step that will take place. And after pollination, individual plant will be harvested separately. So if I come to its so here more number of plants are selected and all are allowed to open pollinate. And but see here, very important. Here only seeds from this these all are not zeros. These are actually representing plants, as I told you last time also. So see, from each individual plant, this seed is harvested separately, and then they are grown in the small progenies. Then they are visually evaluated, and after the evaluation from here, superior will be selected and the inferior will be rejected, right? This is a modification, because see in the last method, see what we were doing here in the last case. Here to row method, yield trials were being conducted at the end. But here, if you could see, yield trials are conducted immediately. Yield trials are being conducted immediately. See, after the very first year only, yield trials are being conducted. Then superior varieties are produced, then again yield trials are being conducted, right? So this is the modification of air to row method, although it is also completed in 2 selection cycles only, but here inferior are rejected, and see these superiors are allowed to grow. They are harvested separately, and then after the harvesting separately, their seeds are analyzed. So this is the methodology of modified air to row method. It is all about scheme 2, right? So overall, we can end the very first breeding methodology by coming to the merits of population approach. So it is providing great opportunity for recombination. Heterozygosity is being restored. Accumulation of desirable gene can be done within the individuals of a particular population, and intermating can also be done from segregating generation. But there are demerits, it is very difficult. As we are saying, like selection is done on the basis of phenotype, they are allowed to randomly mate. This is actually easy in the terms, easy in the statements, but while one goes for its actual performance, it is very difficult, right? And moreover, the characteristics which are not going to be forwarded from one generation to another, that means from the parents to the next progeny, for them it is not possible to go for the population approach, right? So this becomes a major limitation over here, and time taken to develop a new variety, it is always going to be more as compared to the category methodology. And there is no convincing evidence. Like if we say these characters are moving to the next generation, why these characters, if I ask you why these characters are being forwarded to the next generation, you won't be able to give any conveniencing evidence or any answer that is going to please your that will justify your answer, right? So with this, I come to the end of very first methodology that is utilized for breeding of what we call as cross pollinator species. Here we are going to talk for the recurrent selection. Recurrent selection is the idea that was independently given by these scientists, that is Hayes and Garber, and in 1990. And then in the next year, independently, these two scientists, they gave an idea of recurrent selection. Recurrent selection, that means again and again this selection will be done. Say if this is the one generation, this is another generation, this is yet another generation, this is yet another to another generation. So after every generation, reselection will be done. So this is the recurrent, means again and again. That means a repeated number of times selection is done generation after generation with intermitting of, here we having selected plant, and with the selected plant again, and say if these are the two parents and this we have the generation one, then this generation will be allowed to cross with this selected parent again and again, generation after generation, to produce the population for the next cycle of selection. This is said to be recurrent selection, right? Now it is basically of four types. Very first is the simple recurrent selection. Then we have recurrent selection for the journal. G stands for journal, combining ability. Then we have recurrent selection for specific combining ability, that is SCA. And at the end we have reciprocal current selection. Very first we are going to talk about simple recurrent selection, that is abbreviated as SRS. Simple recurrent selection means something something is being performed but in a very simple manner, right? What can be that simple manner? Simple manner is what? See, selection is done generation after generation. If, as I repeated in the last slide, two parents are going to breed together and they are going to give rise to a progeny, right? Here selection is done. Then this selected individual is going to be crossed with selected parent. Say this is this is the parent that we have selected for again crossing. So this progeny I will be making it with different colors so that it is easy for you all to understand. So this is the progeny when these two parents cross together. Now this progeny is always allowed to say cross with the selected parent, and as a result, again we go for the selection of individual. Say the next individual is again of same color, then it is again going to cross with the same parent. This is said to be the process, the selection where individuals they are recurrent selection. That means but simple, it is in simple terms. That means here one progeny is going to be crossed with the selected parents, and the next progeny is again going to be crossed with the same parent. That means every time we are crossing the progeny with the same parent. But here very important, no tester is present. That means the detection or the selection is only on the basis of phenotypic characteristics, and this is said to be simple recurrent selection, right? Because when we go for the yield trials, then it is a little bit difficult to perform. See what it could be better understood by this example. We had the base population. We selected certain plants from here. We planted them, again selected certain, we again planted. So all the time the selection is being done on the basis of phenotypic features only. This is said to be simple recurrent selection. See, it is completed in 4 years. So in the very first year, what we have done, in the very first year, several phenotype, because of the selection is done on the basis of phenotype. So all the plants which have superior phenotype, they will be selected. Now here we are not allowing them to open pollinate because open pollination was all discussed in what it was being discussed in a method without progeny testing. But here we are allow it. These are self pollinated. That means this plant is allowed to cross with this plant. Self pollinated means with itself they will be crossing. Now the seeds which I have served together, their seeds will be harvested and will be evaluated, but the evaluation is not done in comparison to the tester, right? It is done without any comparison. Here individual plant progenies, they will be grown as we grown in the last methodology. And then again we have composited intercross seed and again backcrossing. So this can be repeated till as in the recurrent selection cycle. So this is the simple recurrent selection where we are no more. Very one thing you need to notice here, we are not including any tester. This is very important thing. We are not including any tester, and selection is only on the basis of phenotype, right? So because selection is only on the basis of phenotype, so this is the reason it is often said to be phenotypic recurrent selection. Simple selection. Next is recurrent selection for general combining ability. General combining ability means again here generation after generation selection is to be done, of course, but selection is to be done for those features which have the ability to combine with each other. And here we have a tester against them. So it is also known as half SIB recurrent selection. Why? Because one desirable feature, if it is combining with another desirable feature, this will be resulting into the improvement of population. And because one parent is crossing with another, and both may have different genetic content, so this is for this the tester that is required is heterozygous. Tester required is called as heterozygous tester. This is the methodology. This is the original population we have, and from here plants are allowed to self-pollinate. Now these self-pollinated plants will be allowed to cross. These are the cross signs which are shown. I will be just showing its viewer larger size. So see the several phenotypically the plants which are similar to each other in terms of phenotype, they are selected. Because we are selecting here the plants with general combining ability, which could actually combine with each other. Those parents are only selected. After selection, these are self-pollinated. Now after the self-pollinated, see these arrows represent like they are test crossed with the males. This is acting as a female parent, and this tester is acting as a male parent because it is again open pollinated. See, we carried a replicated yield trial. Then again, they are self-pollinated. Each seed is allowed to is singly spaced and grown. We again produce progeny from here. This progeny is again crossed with the tester. That means once we complete one repeated cycle, then in the another repeated cycle, they are again going to be crossed with each other. Again self-pollinated, again test growth. Again self-pollinated, again test growth. That means here these test processes are prepared because these features, they have the general combining ability. They have the combining ability to mate with each other, right? Now third is a recurrent selection. This is for general combining ability. This is for specific combining ability. It is similar to the one that is this general combining ability, but the difference is only like here the tester is an inbred line. Here the tester is not an inbred line, but when we are going for the recurrent selection for specific combining ability, then their tester is going to be very specific in nature, and that particular tester is an inbred line. That is only the reason it is also selection. That means generation after generation we are going for the selection of those features which are desirable. But here the combination is a general combining ability, but specific combining ability. That means here the test cross is carried with the inbred line. Here we were not crossing it with the inbred line. We had any open pollinated variety, right? But here any open pollinated variety is not taken. Here we are taking inbred line. And the last method of this is reciprocal recurrent selection. It was proposed by a scientist named Comstock, Robinson, Harvey in the year 1949. And of course, because we are looking after the selection methodology, and selection is only done for improving the features, right? So its objective is again to go for the improvement of two different population in their ability to combine with each other. And this is the scheme that is represented, or these are the steps that actually takes place while one goes for the reciprocal recurrent selection. So here we are having two populations. One population is of A and another population is of B. These superior plants are again selected on the basis of phenotype only. And these are self-pollinated. One population is allowed to pollinate with another. And test cross will be carried out for each population. This is which method? Reciprocal recurrent selection. Reciprocal means this will be crossed with this will be crossed with this. Then individual testing are being conducted. Then again this is grown, this is grown. Again they are self-crossed, and again we are forming. In this way, here what we are doing, we are reciprocally means inversely we are selecting the varieties. So this is said to be recurrent selection, right? With this, we have completed the two parts by which we could go for breeding of cross-pollinated species. And now I am going to discuss the last one, that is synthetic and composite varieties. So what is synthetic? Name itself is like we are synthesizing something. Then how it is to be synthesized? Very next question that comes into the mind, that is how it is to be synthesized. So it is a variety which is developed by, we have inbred lines. We have the inbred lines, and feature of these inbred lines is they have journal combining ability. Now in the inbred lines, say these are the inbred lines. What we have to do here, we have to intermate these in all possible combination. That means all possible combinations are what? This could be interbred with this. 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 So all possible combinations. Intermating is to be done in all possible combinations, but with good journal combining. It is not like we are to cross this one with this, because we have to go for all the possible combinations. No, only those possible combinations where the two individuals, they have the journal compatibility with each other, right? Suppose I say there is 58 strength in your class. Suppose I say very first roll number to go and sit with the last roll number, and to remain with this student, and I instruct these students to remain together throughout the 4 years. So that is not going to be possible, right? This student or this student in turn, they can look after making their own friends. Say it has a strong bond with the roll number 2, and it is having a strong bond with roll number 57. And these are the possible combinations. Rather than all the possible combinations, these are the possible combinations which in general they have the combining ability with each other. So here, in this way, we can go for the development of a synthetic variety, right? I mean to say, we are not to forcefully go for intermating, for preparing the two individuals to go for intermating, but the individuals which are to be intermated with each other, they must be compatible with each other. That means they must have good journal combining ability, right? Then the ones which are having the good journal combining ability, their seeds are mixed, and their seeds are mixed in equal quantity, and this is what is said to be the synthetic variety. That means the variety where the seeds are in equal proportion, that is said to be synthetic variety, and it could only be done as a result of cross pollinator species. So what base material is to be used? I have already told you inbreds are to be used. If inbreds are not available, clones, and this also I used you told you like open pollinated varieties can be used, right? Why you need to go for the preparation of this synthetic variety? Because here, because you are what you are doing here, you are combining the seeds with the say general combining ability. You are looking for the combination. So here we could go for the exploitation of heterosis, because if say one parent that is crossing with the another parent, if suppose our result are we have a hybrid, and say if this hybrid is having the superior quality over its any parent, then we can maximally we can exploit its genetic content. And the exploitation of actually this is a heterosis variety, that is superior over its one of the parent, that is said to be heterosis. So here within the while we are is going for the preparation of synthetic variety, exploitation of maximum, I won't say exploitation, maximum exploitation of heterosis can be done, right? Now what about genetic constitution? When we say genetic constitution, what actually is consisting within the, what actually is present within the synthetic variety? That means when we talk about genetic constitution, we come to know it is consisting of several heterozygotes. Obviously, because within the synthetic variety, we are going for the exploitation of heterosis, and heterosis is what, again I repeat, heterosis is the superiority of the parents of the generation over its parents, right? So here initially what is done, this variety is consisting of several heterozygotes, and later on when one heterozygote is crossed with another heterozygote, then some degree of selfing, that means this is selfing. When we go for the selfing, it results into the fixation of certain genes, and as a result we have a synthetic variety that is consisting of both heterozygote and homozygote. See, not to get confused, when we are talking about the genetic constitution, I said synthetic variety, how it is prepared? Like we are choosing the superior varieties and say their next progeny is very superior in the nature, right? If it is very superior in the nature, that means here we are exploiting the heterosis, and as a result we have heterozygous lines with us, right? When we say we have heterozygous lines with us, then this heterozygous, when it is crossed with again another heterozygous, then again one heterozygous is crossed with yet another heterozygous, then we used to have fixation of certain genes, and it is said to be homozygosity. That means initially, no doubt, synthetic, when we started with the composition of synthetic variety, we only had heterozygosity in terms of genetic constitution, but when they were self crossed with each other, then we had the homozygosity. So initially we had heterozygous zygotes only, but in the end, in the later generation, we had both homozygotes as well as heterozygotes. And again I repeat, homozygotes are the result of selfing of heterozygotes, right? There are various what kinds of variations takes place. Synthetic varieties are exploiting, like we said, no, we are to go for the exploitation of genetic content. Then what exploitations are basically looked after in the synthetic? Then it is exploiting more of the additive gene action, right? And even if we are we are capable of finding out 5 to 8 general combining inbred lines, then they are sufficient enough to go for the constitution of a particular synthetic variety, and 4 to 5 years are needed. But within those 4 to 5 years are needed for the preparation of this synthetic variety. But one drawback is there should not be reduction in the yield potential, right? Then these are the features of synthetic varieties. This is of course clear. These are all relevant to cross-pollinated species. And these synthetic varieties, because these are relevant to cross-pollinated species, they can only be maintained by open pollination. And they are showing the additive effect. And at the later stages, earlier we used to have heterozygotes only, but in the later stages we have both heterozygotes and homozygote. And of course their adaptability is going to be very vast. That means they can adapt themselves to the larger and larger climatic and agroclimatic conditions. With this I get to the completion of this synthetic. These differences I will be dealing with at the end. Now we come to the composite. Composite means something is to be combined together, that is composite. So here what is to be combined together? Here mixing is to be done, and mixing is to be done of different genotypes but in equal quantity, right? Those genotypes which are similar in maturity, height, that means all the phenotypic characteristics, that is what is said to be composite variety. These are the feature of composite varieties. They are of course going to be some similar to synthetic, and some points are going to be different. Here very first point is same, that is they are relevant to open pollinated species. If they are open pollinated, that means they are relevant to cross pollinated species. If they are relevant to cross pollinated species, then again here they are again being maintained by open pollination. But here heterosis, like in the while we were going for the say creation of while we were going for the creation of what we call as a synthetic. Just a minute. See, while we were going here for the, there was in the last while we were going for the synthesis of synthetic variety, their heterosis was exploited to the maximum content, but here it is partially exploited, and the exact reconstitution is not possible, and they are again adaptable to the environmental changes. How we need to go for its development? First of all, base material here is heterozygous, then they are to be intermediate with each other. We will have F1 generation, and that particular F1 generation is to be evaluated and mixed in a fixed amount. These are the certain similarities between synthetic, that means both are polymorphic, because different characteristics they are being combined together, so they are going to be polymorphic. That means they are going to have many morphologies, many phenotypic features. But the point is, when we say many features, then we basically think like they are going to be unstable, but here they are stable itself. They are relevant to allogamous species, that is because this all is being discussed under cross pollinated species, so they are relevant to cross pollinated. And these are this is consisting of mixture of homo and hetero, and more are the variations. Just always remember, just close your eyes and say more are the variations, more they are adaptable to the different environment, right? So here are certain similarities and dissimilarities among the two. Like when we talk for the equilibrium, then both are polymorphic stable. If we talk for their relevance, then both are related to the cross-pollinated species, which are said to be allogamous. When we talk for the genetic constitution, synthetic is consisting of heterozygotes, and later on it consists of homozygotes. And here also same is the concept, because we are talking for the similarities, because these were heterozygous, so their genetic content is very wide, and they are going to adapt themselves to the wide agroclimatic zones, right? But here are the dissimilarities. When we go for the development of synthetic cultivars, we were basically going for the utilization of inbreds, right, or clones. But here open pollinated variety or any source of heterozygous can be utilized. Component genotypes is 2 to 8, but here there are many. Here journal combining evaluation for the journal combining ability is always done. Journal combining ability means here we usually used to look after like what all features they have the desired ability to combine with each other. As I discussed, with the help of a roll number, like 1 is compatible with the 2 and 58 is compatible with the 57, but 1 and 58 are not compatible among each other, right? That is a journal combining ability is always evaluated in terms of synthetic, but it is no more required in terms of composite. Here seed replacement is done after 4 to 5 years, and here duration is smaller, that is 3 to 4 years. Exact reconstitution is not possible. It is possible here, but it is not possible here, because here what was being done, first of all we used to have heterozygotes and they were self together for many generations, and as a result we used to have homozygotes, but there is no such possibility existing. So with these students I have completed the second topic, and that is genetic basis and breeding methods for cross pollinated species, right? Now the next topic that I will only be discussing is about the genetic base of asexually propagated species, and the methodology I will be discussing in the next lecture. When we say asexually are what? These are vegetatively propagated species. That means here any part of the plant is existing as a parent and it can be utilized for the formation of a new plant, right? That means a root, stem, shoot, anything can be taken, and when it is sown into the soil, it is going to give rise to a new plant. This is said to be, these species are said to be the species which are asexually, means here we are not carrying any crossing of the two parents, right? That means here propagation is taking place as a result of stem, root, cuttings, or any other means. Because no sexual reproduction is taking place here, so this is the reason it is said to be asexually propagated, or often it is referred to vegetative propagated species. A very important thing. These species are found in both self and cross pollinated species, so I need not to go for the elaboration of methodology in terms of breeding of asexually propagated species. The reason behind, because we see students, I have already discussed breeding methodologies of self pollinated crops, right? Then today I have already dictated you breeding methodology of cross pollinated crops, right? Since asexually propagated species are the species which are comprising of, very important, which are comprising of both self and cross pollinated species, so this is the reason. Of course bacha, if it is comprising of both the methodologies, then breeding methods are not going to be something very different. They are going to be the methodologies from the self and cross only, right? So breeding methodology will be the combination of the methodologies which are taking place in self and cross, right? Why asexual reproductions take place? Because the size of the flower can be small, or seed is not setting up to the number that it must be actually there. Then in certain cases there is no flower formation taking place. If there is no flower, students, obviously they are now no more going to be the male and female reproductive parts, and if there are no different sex units, then there is no more going to be the formation of there is no fertilization process going to take place, and if there is no fertilization, there is no zygote, and if there is no zygote, then there is no seed development, right? So this is the reason, if there is no seed development, then what we need to do? We cannot stop at that particular point. Yeah, it's okay. There is no flower formation. Okay, fine. But we need to grow the plant to the more amount. In that case, when there is no formation of the seed, there is no formation of the flower, then we go for taking the cutting of the plant, and parts which can be cut for growing of a new plant, that can be either stem, root, or any other thing, right? Then it is used to avoid breeding depression, and apomixis is taking place in certain cases. Now these all are the features. Here propagation is taking place by asexual means, either by means of stem, root cutting or other meaning. These are referred as vegetative and they contain both pollinated and self and cross pollinated species. Because both are there, so they are also heterozygote. Genetic basis is very large. If more is the genetic constitution, more it is going to adapt itself to the different environment, and of course more it is going to be flexible in the nature. These all are the characteristics that we have already discussed in the last slides. So these all are the methodologies. See students, if you could observe very carefully, then this is the mass selection and that we discussed in self, right? And here we are another can be added, we have discussed today, because it is going to be the sum of two methodologies. These all are the examples. So why we are going for the question is why we are going, why we are going for the breeding of say these vegetatively propagated species. Because if we go, because see here we are having identical copies. Whatever progeny is being synthesized, that is identical in terms to its parents. And where we need to breed, where we need to have the generation which seems to be similar to each other, of course there we need to go for pollination. There we need to go for breeding of asexually propagated species. And the very important point is here, genotype is going to be preserved indefinitely. So this is what from my side. This is what from my side, right? So thank you students for patience listening, and with this I complete the today lecture, right?